Just like the WNBA and the players, I had a lack of urgency in doing this video because I'm pissed off about this topic at this point, and more of the same, and it's disrespectful to fans to continue to leave this entire situation in limbo when it is important for the season to start on time and free agency and expansion drafts, and to not throw the momentum in the trash. I understand it's important for the parties involved to get the best deal. Don't get me wrong, but it feels like the game of chicken has continued, and we're
The WNBA just made a shocking announcement by declining to comment on the players' most recent proposal and calling it unreasonable. Players have reached their breaking point as a result of the shocking move, and futures like Caitlin Clark's may be in jeopardy as the league's momentum teeters on the brink of catastrophe. The entire basketball world is in disbelief over what will happen next due to the league office's eerie silence.
Has continued, and we're past the point where the chicken should have gotten to the other side of the road. The latest update is kind of a non-update, but the thing that people took away from it was that the WNBA has not responded to the players' latest proposal. This was put out by ESPN, a joint byline on the article. In the 3 weeks since, the stalemate has continued, the January 9th deadline being that 3 weeks. The Women's National Basketball Association is still awaiting an official response from the league since sending a proposal a month ago. The league believes the proposal didn't.
The league's passivity is more than just a negotiating strategy. It's a blatant lack of urgency that is demeaning to the players who drive the game and devoted fans. Everyone is doubting the WNBA's dedication to expansion because of the impending season start date and the impasse surrounding important free agency choices.
There's that. A more realistic proposal. And, this is the WNBA and the owner's side knowing they can wait the players out, right? Knowing they can wait the players out. And I feel like the players got so far into their position that they now have almost boxed themselves in where they can't spin what would be an obvious win into a win, which was another part of the article as well. There's a couple reported pieces in there that I did find interesting as far as where we're at. One is about Breanna Stewart, who...
The Players Union has been in the red for the past 3 weeks. The WNBA rejected their most recent proposal. The league side's unprecedented deliberate ghosting has infuriated players who believe their attempts to come to a just deal are being disregarded without due consideration. The atmosphere is poisonous due to the obvious stress.
Signals to me that she is very, very frustrated by the current situation, and that she feels, something needs to be done here. And, that's that's good. That it's good that somebody in that position is taking that tact, because Stewie has been very reasonable in her approach and her comments on this situation the entire time, in the sense where she said, February 1st was a good deadline for them to try to hit to get things started on time, that she said that she was starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but now it feels like...
The reasoning behind the WNBA. According to sources, the league doesn't think the players' request was worthy of a response because it was too similar to previous ones. Rather, they are effectively returning the burden to the participants by requesting a more practical proposition. The union is under tremendous pressure to give up ground as a result of this strategic chess move.
At the end of the tunnel, but now it feels like she's frustrated, and maybe even frustrated with her own party, right? Those are the kind of comments that make me think this is not just directed at the WNBA, it's also directed at the WNBA PA, which has a leadership, and it's not as if all the players are gathered every day going over these things and that every player's opinion is actually weighted equally. And then there is the presentation and the way that the players can spin this. And I've been on this point for quite a while now. Look, you could say that the WNBA is being jerks for just not responding, leaving them on red, for instance, ghosting them.
The league is wagering that it can wait out the players in this high-stakes game of chicken. As the season approaches, The owners hoped that player dissatisfaction and financial strain would finally compel a submission because they are aware that they have the power of time. Many WNBA players are angry and feel powerless as a result of this brutal tactic.
The WNBA is being jerks for just not responding, leaving them on red, for, instance, ghosting them in the parlance of our times. You could certainly say they should respond. But if nobody's responding, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? We're past the point where people should be waiting, where there should be an uncomfortable silence period around all of this stuff. And then there is, the idea that the players have been convinced that a good deal is bad for them. And I'm not saying they got the best version of the deal yet. I mean, I've rehashed enough is enough.
Superstar Breanna Stewart has stated in public that enough is enough. Her obvious frustration reveals a deep-seated rage inside the playing ranks. Respected voice Stewart wants to be in the room discussing the real issues, pointing out a gap in the negotiating process, and making a fervent request for sincere communication.
The idea that the players have been convinced that a good deal is bad for them. And I'm not saying they got the best version of the deal yet. I mean, I've rehashed enough is a slap in the face to wake me up from repeating myself. But that's the comment, right? The slap in the face comment, the one Rebecca Lobo pointed out. And in that same ESPN piece, it says, lean into the win. Much of the Players Association's narrative for months has been the insistence that the league's proposals are far from adequate as to be insulting. That's not an unusual tack for a union to take in such disputes, but sources outside the WNBA PA have told ESPN that the...
Stewart went on to express her frustration, saying that language, context, and verbiage frequently cause meetings to veer off course, leaving everyone to miss the important message. This implies a setting where genuine advancement is hindered by bureaucratic bickering instead of concentrating on concrete solutions, heightening the sense of disdain.
Has been reported as when they would need to get things done in order to not delay the season. And we know they've announced the season dates and all of those things. So we are, as I put it, we are in the end game now. Now, February 1st is not a hard deadline. So if it's past February 1st, or, who knows, February 7th, 8th, 9th, whatever the date is, I'm sure they can, figure it out and adjust accordingly as long as it doesn't get pushed out too far. But it's concerning that there wouldn't be more urgency at this point. They wouldn't just be locked in the room.
Her remarks allude to a more serious problem, a potential annoyance not only with the WNBA, but also with her own group, the Players Union. If accurate, this internal strife exacerbates an already precarious situation by implying a divided front among the players and making it more difficult to reach a united attitude. The Players Union has adopted an unconventional strategy, characterizing the league's ideas as offensive and inadequate. Ironically, this harsh public attitude has left them locked in, making it impossible to later celebrate what could be a big success for player remuneration, even though their goal was to mobilize support. Rebecca Lobo especially emphasized the story of the athletes, calling the proposals a slap in the face. Although it makes sense given their unhappiness, this strong framing makes future celebrations difficult. It illustrates the emotional toll these discussions are having, making it difficult to distinguish between a good and flawless deal. ESPN insiders, on the other hand, are advising the union to embrace the victory and that it would be beneficial for them to speak more positively about the accomplishments that are currently in place. This striking disparity in messaging highlights a crucial PR error in which the emphasis on alleged insults obscures the real, significant advancements being made. Players are making it difficult to complete the victory lap due to the current antagonistic positioning, even prior to the completion of the transaction. This crucial PR blunder runs the risk of undermining the enormous success of obtaining large raises, making it more difficult for supporters to join them in celebrating and for the league to draw in new viewers. Because this is the indisputable reality. The rises for WNBA players will be far bigger than they are presently, regardless of the ultimate figures. This is an undeniable victory and a momentous occasion for player pay that ought to be widely acknowledged. However, this unprecedented financial jump could be overshadowed by the present storyline. The issue goes beyond how the general public perceives it. It also has to do with internal messaging. Participants must cut away at some of that hostile positioning, even among their own union members. For the sake of the league as a whole, it is essential to understand that just because something isn't perfect doesn't mean it's a poor agreement. There is a lot of pressure because Breanna Stewart's goal date for avoiding season delays is February 1st, which is only a few hours away. Season dates have already been established by the league, so any more delays would be disastrous. Even if it's not official, this strict deadline indicates that the end game has arrived and needs to be resolved right away. Given that we are now nearing the end of the game, the lack of urgency is alarming. There is no sign that the parties are locked in a room around the clock to complete the deal, even though February is quickly approaching. This given the high stakes and the possible harm to the WNBA's quickly increasing popularity, the easygoing pace is perplexing. The league's future and its capacity to draw in and keep elite players are directly impacted by this impasse. Imagine this turmoil from the perspective of a potential superstar, possibly a generational talent like Caitlin Clark. She might be shocked by the protracted, acrimonious negotiations, which could cloud her prospective WNBA career before it even starts. There is an urgent need for tact, particularly from the players' union. In actuality, they will prevail in the negotiations solely on the basis of higher pay. It's time to begin generating joyful communications, emphasizing the deal's revolutionary character instead than letting lingering frustrations to overshadow the victory. The WNBA's hard-won momentum could be lost as a result of this whole issue. Fan participation is at an all-time high, but that goodwill may be swiftly undermined by ongoing uncertainty and public squabbling. To take advantage of this special time in the history of women's sports, the league must have a solid start to the season. The WNBA's future is in jeopardy because a potentially revolutionary deal is entangled in internal strife and calculated delays. The league is deadlocked, players are incensed, and the prospect of a golden age seems unclear. Fans of the next generation of stars, including an optimistic Caitlin Clark, are completely astonished and asking what might have happened when a victory is presented as a defeat.